When the young man pulled the car over, the car tailgating them would also stop. They claimed that eventually, Mr. Tromp got out of the car and ran towards them, but he stopped in the middle of the road and stared at them. He then walked into Wangaratta's Marawa Park and disappeared. That's fucking terrifying.
How scary is it? You just lock your door. You're in a car, drive away. That's not that scary. And then, if the doors don't work and he starts breaking a window, then guess what? Time to die. Okay, and that's a bummer. But see, at that point, it's like, I'm dead. I guess I don't have anything else to worry about.
So at what point does the fear come in for you?
About when the life is draining out of my body.
Owen was discovered with extensive injuries. He had been tied up with a cord around his neck, wrists, and ankles. It appeared he had been tortured. Blood had even gotten on the wall and ceiling above the bed.
I'm a little tired of people being so aghast that blood is on the walls and the ceilings. Of course blood's gonna get everywhere. A person is beating the shit out of someone and stabbing them.
It's also, come on, it's a visceral thing to imagine that someone's getting beat so heavily that blood is splattering everywhere like a Tarantino flick.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. If you put your finger in a cup of blood and just went...
Okay, wait a
There's
second.
blood on the ceiling.
Wait, what? He had been hit repeatedly on the head and his skull was fractured. He'd also been stabbed in the chest several times. His lung was punctured. There was bruising around his neck that could mean he was strangled. Remarkably, Owen was somehow still alive though. One of the detectives to arrive on the scene would ask Owen about anyone else who had been inside the room. Owen responded, quote, "Nobody," end quote. Although he was hardly capable of talking and not fully conscious. He explained, quote, "I fell against the bathtub," end quote.
Hell of a fall.
I know. So in this scenario, he falls against the bathtub, rolls over into the bed, and then starts bouncing up and down so the blood splatter goes onto the ceiling and walls.
Yeah. And probably bouncing on the bed so hard that he hits the ceiling a few times and breaks all his bones.
And fractures his skull. I guess when I'm drunk,
I've done some stupid things.
I guess I would attempt to do things that I'm scared of, but going back to my fear of bears, I would never go, hey, let me go pet this bear.
No, I wouldn't. One of my greatest fears, I think I've said this before, is that someone will trick me into doing heroin.
Which is the dumbest fear I've ever heard in my life.
It would be against my will.
How many situations could even put you up to that potential danger?
I don't know. All it takes
How many parties are you going to with heroin involved?
None, but
it seems like a lot.
It's not the fear that I'm at a party. It's a fear that someone would come up to me on the street and put heroin in me, and then I'm hooked forever.
The scariest thing about this is I'm pretty sure that there was a cover-up by the police department.
Police in the 70s, like 70s and 80s police were always just like, oh, you murdered someone? You got $40.
Those who knew him largely vouched for Langford, thinking him incapable of writing the letters. I'm pretty done with neighbors and family members saying, I can't believe you could have done this. No one could have seen it coming.
Tell you what, that John Wayne Gacy is the sweetest fella I know.
Ted Bundy, he's got the eyes of just the kindest man.
A real dreamboat.
Yeah, there's no way Ted could have done that. While riding the New York subway in 1917, John Galvin, a man claiming to be a detective at Scotland Yard, grabbed a woman and reportedly declared, quote, "I know you, Dorothy Arnold. I've got you at last," end quote. The woman, not Dorothy Arnold, but rather a Mrs. Smith, begged strangers around her to help, but Galvin insisted he was a detective. He marched her into an NYPD precinct where officers let Mrs. Smith go and sent Galvin to Bellevue Hospital for observation. "I know you! Dorothy Arnold! Come with me! I've got you at last!"
Another case cracked for Galvin.
Imagine being on the subway, maybe you have your AirPods in and some grown man grabs you by the shoulders, looks you in your eyes and shakes you and goes, "I've got you!" In addition to his newfound career traction, Poe had fallen in love with a girl named Virginia. Grossly, Virginia was his cousin. Even grosslier, Virginia was half his age. Despite these circumstances, Poe and Virginia married in Richmond in 1835 when Poe was 27 and Virginia was 13.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Can't be doing that.
Obviously, but it is a thing of the times.
You can't be doing that. Temperance was dumb as hell. Can I say that?
Why is that?
You gotta be, just because you don't like a chili boy here and there, you gotta go tell other people how to live their lives? You know, I don't like heroin.
I don't think it's them
what?
getting on.
What'd you say?
What are you? Wait, what?
I mean, I don't want.
Why did
when
you
I say I don't like heroin, that doesn't mean.
Why did you have to
not
point
for
that
me.
out? How much heroin have you done today? Understandably, Poe's coffin and corpse were in terrible condition. As workers tried to move the coffin, it fell apart, spilling Poe's remains.
This guy can't catch a break.
This is comical at this point. Like,
it's what you get for marrying your 13-year-old cousin.
Jesus, man, you can't say that.
I can't say it.
One day, an associate was able to toss wire cutters and a ladder over the prison wall so Mikic could escape, while another man fired AK rounds at the guards for cover. Mikic was never recaptured. How the fuck do you walk up to a prison with a ladder and not have anybody in the tower being like, hey, there's a guy walking up to the wall right now with a ladder, maybe we should do oh shit. Oh, he's gone.
You know, the big spotlight probably wasn't on him. Here.
Would you break me out of prison if I got
No.
if I got arrested? I mean, you don't have to answer it that fast.
Oh, sorry.
Would you? I'll ask you again. Take a longer pause. No, it's not the amount of time you say no. Just take some time to think you're considering it. Here, man. If I got into prison, would you? You son of a bitch. You befriend an older woman.
Okay.
She's like in her 70s.
I'm listening.
You go to the retirement home every
what
Friday.
Do we do there?
You start this beautiful friendship. You play chess with this old woman.
Wait, what about like the sort of the water yoga or whatever? Am I like carrying her around?
No, I'm thinking like we have the whole montage here. You're pushing her in a wheelchair through the Long Beach Aquarium.
Is she smooching me?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. You're playing chess. You're watching funny old movies that she's telling you from her time, and you're laughing,
Bringing
eating
up
popcorn.
baby.
And then one day while you're doing chess and you move the horse, and you're just like, all right, your move. She goes, Shane,
I killed JFK. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, it was actually.
I'd be like, God damn, what was it like?
You would ask, what did it feel like when someone says I murdered somebody? I think you might be a murderer. Is that all that's been holding you back?
I would only ask about JFK because it's such a historical happening. You know, if she was like, I killed a dog, I'd be like, all right. I'd push her into the pool and leave. James Patterson could come up to me on the street and kiss me on the mouth. And I would say, nice to meet you. You know, who are you?
That's what you would say?
Yes. Conspiracy theorists are a bunch of fucking losers.